Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the DoersCast. This is a podcast where we talk to entrepreneurs, business owners, and just cool people working on cool projects. And today we have a very, very special guest. I'm actually here in Mountain View, California, and we have Mikhail here, who is from Skylex. And basically what they do is they created this mobile app that connects you with immigration lawyers instantly. So instead of having to, go through like a long email back and forth with a lawyer and having to wait for a long time, they get you connected immediately. And yeah, so we're here today to just talk about your story, how you got started. So yeah, man, how you doing? How you been?
So I've been great.
You're doing great.
Thanks for putting it together. It's really fun.
Yeah, awesome,
Thanks
man.
for having me. So I'm a lawyer. So I went to law school, and then when working as a lawyer, I figured out there are some issues with the legal practice. Obviously, there are many. So I thought I can just figure out how to solve some of them with the technology.
All right. So I know you guys focus specifically on immigration, like lawyers. So what was the story that what made you be like, oh, this is something we need to fix?
Yeah, so the big part of it is actual connection, speaking with the lawyer. When you're in the US, if you need, let's say you need a criminal lawyer, you can reach out to someone local, you can see an office when you walk down the street or whatever, just walk in, or you can Google something real quick and just call the number. With immigration, a lot of people in different countries, they're outside the US, so they don't have that capability of actually dialing the number and calling somewhere, and then there is a different time zone.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to solve this component, and then immigration was a natural fit for us, where we can connect people globally in different countries and different time zones, and really help them with that. So that's one thing, and then with immigration also people move around a lot, so they go again different time zone, different countries. So to be able to connect with the lawyer, chat back and forth, so they would have it all, because a huge part of our core functionality is chatting, calling, exchanging documents. So we're a project, we want to preserve and protect and secure the attorney-client privilege communication.
Yeah.
So we want it to be all through a secure platform, and
you want to make it convenient. Right?
Convenient is number one, definitely. So that's why the immigration was very natural for us to start with.
Yeah. So was that something that was that a problem for you? Were you going through immigration stuff, and you kind of were looking around for lawyers?
I was looking at it from a lawyer perspective. So I knew it was an issue for a lot of
a lot of people try to contact you, and they're like, oh, it's taking too much. They tell you oh,
exactly.
It's a huge hassle for me.
Yeah. So let's say there was something happened on the at the airport, or some kind of an immigration checkpoint or whatever
at the airport.
In London, in Europe, and whatever you are. Let's say if you're a US citizen or a citizen of a different country, and then something happens. So there is no way to reach a lawyer, even if you're the most famous person in the world or whatever. Unless you know someone, because everybody is asleep.
Yeah.
So when we are working on bringing it 24/7 access and 24/7 service availability for anyone to ask any questions through the chat or call. So that's what it. So I wasn't experiencing it from a user perspective, but from a service provider perspective.
Because we were talking about this earlier. You've been you went to law school here in the US, right? You've been how long have you been a lawyer for?
For almost 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I was 10 years old. So at what point did you realize that you could actually make this a business? Because there's a lot of problems out there, there's a lot of solutions to those problems, but not everything can be you can turn it into a business, right? So at what point did you realize I can Like,
So I would say like almost immediately,
Uh-huh.
because I started building a solution for myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I wanted
Okay.
to provide services to when my clients travel around,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted them to not really. So this is how the law office in the U.S. is structured now.
Mm-hmm.
Lawyers are like doctors. You know, when you go to like a hospital, you never get to before you talk to a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You first talk to like a receptionist, right?
Yeah,
You register. Then you talk to a nurse. Then the nurse takes you to a certain like place. So with the law firms, especially with the large ones, the process is exactly the same. You never get to talk to a lawyer directly unless you're a very, very important client. Then you do. But mostly it's like you talk with the secretary, you talk with the receptionist, then you talk to paralegal. That's the special assistant for a lawyer, right? And then you get to talk to a lawyer only like with a doctor, you know, on a certain clock, you know, and then you get billed for that time.
I see.
So
it's
then
like gotta move up the ranks.
Yeah, exactly. So first you call is like, hey, maybe connected to the attorney. And every time, again, from the insider perspective, is like, I don't want to talk with the client. I'm in the office working on my cases, right? But I don't want my secretary to connect me with the client because clients are pesky, right? Clients can be distracting, and then I'm like focused on my stuff, and then they're always calling me like in the middle of the whatever my work, and I just don't want to respond to them. So and then like really to break through that pattern and like maybe make lawyers more accessible. That's what the system really does. So we just the app cuts through that process and like gives there's only one intermediary, like a layer, like this 24/7 paralegal, legal secretary, legal helpline, and then we connect people directly with the lawyers.
Wow.
So, and this problem that I described, this is for an existing attorney-client communication. In other words, we already have a contract. I'm already working with you. But then when you have a new
like someone who's
case,
just talking to you for the
someone
first time.
just for the first time, then it's even worse because as you mentioned, you send an email. You know,
it's like a bot that responds to you.
Right, yeah, and then nobody responds, like, bot responds, and then you keep waiting or whatever. But then we just wanted to make this new way, you know, like just like with everything with Uber, you know, or like Google everything. You just press the button, you get the cab magically appear right there. So the same thing with legal services, you know, instead of emailing, calling, and then like checking, okay, who is like great, let me see your website, let me see that person's LinkedIn. Just it's all one system where we know that every lawyer on the platform is legit, knows what he's doing, and then very often actually it's a big problem too. Like you know, for the cab, an Uber ride, you know, you need to get from Mountain View to Sunnyvale. You don't care like which car is it gonna be, what type of driver, as long as it's like basic competence, right? But then for like legal services, if you want to start a company for a startup, right? What type of lawyer are you gonna look for? Is it like a business or like civil or whatever? Either business or tax or some kind of whatever. Like you may not be sure. So we have that system where we're just gonna tell you, okay, just tell me what your problem is, and then we'll figure out and we'll connect you with the right specialist, and you will save your time. Yeah.
Cool. So like, how does the whole like 24/7 thing work? Is like you guys got people like all over the world that like whoever is awake, like they'll get connected, or like how does that work?
So we start only with lawyers in the U.S. So like it's just when let me put it that way. We're not there yet where we just can respond like immediately to everyone 24/7, but we just hire like a paralegal over there, like in Europe, and that person is on clock during the daytime over there, and then we cover the U.S. business hours, so it's pretty easy. It's just with two people we can achieve that 24/7 coverage.
So y'all have like you've hit up a lot of paralegals, a lot of lawyers, and like when you tell like lawyers this idea, what is their response been?
So like they just say, bring me more clients, and that's one. Clients. The second one is. I don't want like lawyer. I don't want to talk directly with my clients. So they say I don't want.
So they don't like the idea.
Right. So very busy ones just say, well, I want the things exactly how it is, and this is how. Like every time when you try to disrupt any industry, you know, you get this pushback because why? I'm doing well. I want my paralegal and my secretary like shield me off of those clients who just bother me. So this is.
But at the same time, it's kind of an indicator. It's like, oh, if they're so like attached to this old style, maybe that means that there's room for more growth.
Exactly. So here's what we do with folks like that. They're busy, so we bring our new group of lawyers who want to do it differently, and then who are more hungry for business, right? And they say, I will talk to my clients directly, no problem. At any point, I will talk with them on weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, after in the evenings. That's fine.
Awesome.
And then so with this, like we're slowly like expanding with a very small group. We're gonna compete with these established lawyers who don't want to provide this extra mile of extra service for the clients.
I see.
So
awesome.
that's
So like right now, do you guys have like are you looking more for like lawyers in terms of like growth, or more for like customers?
Customers, definitely. Yeah. We have a bunch of lawyers who just say, okay, just send me business. I'm here. I'm available. Yeah, we have. Within the first couple of months, we just, after launching last year, we just signed up, like more than almost 300 lawyers. And we didn't manage to keep all of them because we didn't send them enough business. We don't have any, but just lawyers are fine as long as we.
I'm surprised. Like so many people were just like, oh yeah, I'm down. But I guess it's like it's not too easy on like the lawyer side, like connecting them to that, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just download the app, just like any messenger. It just takes a second. Yeah.
I see. Wow, that's really cool, man. Okay, so like what's y'all's like, I guess, like current strategy for like how are you trying to like grow, like get more people on the platform?
Well, so we don't do ads now. So we actually don't do advertisement. Like the App Store and Play Store, we have a pretty good like positioning because our ranking is good. So ASO. Well, we have SEO, search engine optimization, and ASO, App Store search optimization. ASO, that's what we're heavily relying on because this is a very small market because you wouldn't think of looking for a lawyer on the App Store. But there are some people, all of our clients actually, a lot of our clients do because they just, how did you find us? Or like, we know this person came from the App Store, and then they just say, I just thought there might be something, or like I was looking for like some kind of a case tracker or some kind of a different app, and then I saw your app in the suggested apps, and then I downloaded the app. It's like, okay, pretty cool.
So y'all, it's just like it's all organic right now, nothing paid.
Yeah, all organic right now. And then just we want to do ads, and this we really hope that this is gonna help us.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, I guess you can't answer this, but like one thing that I was thinking is like what are the pros and cons of like focusing specifically on immigration, right? Because it's very niche, it's very like small circle.
So there's always business. There's always something going on with immigration. We go against the market when there's trouble in the world. It's good for our business because they want to move from different countries. So it's like one thing.
Ukraine right now.
Definitely. And then the other thing is like we can so it's like zoom in for traction type of thing. You just want to just focus on a very narrow niche for any product. So we actually in the beginning we started like all practice areas all at once, and then we got a bunch of clients, but it was so spread out, and we didn't have any specialty in any particular area. So then it was just too much. We spread ourselves too thin.
Like it's hard to like find lawyers in like every single category.
We can find them, but then it's hard to send them a repeat business. So if we got an inquiry for a criminal lawyer in Miami, and then we found a lawyer, we partner up with a lawyer, it would be with the startup with this very small a scale, it takes 2-3 months, 4 months before we send them a repeat business. That was a problem, and that's why we were losing service providers. But then when we have only one area, then we keep sending business to the same lawyers, and it works.
Cool. Awesome. So
we could have picked anything, but I explained why we picked immigration. And we definitely wanted to stay on one area and then slowly expand. If we're going to cover more practice areas, we're going to do IP next, intellectual property, for the same reason, because a bunch of clients are international in different countries, and then they want to file patents in the U.S. So that's again a natural fit for us.
So there's a thing called like IP lawyer.
IP lawyer, definitely. IP, copyright.
I didn't know that. Okay, I'm curious. Like, what's y'all's user demographic? Like, what age group?
So it's definitely young.
Young.
Yeah, but for young, I mean like under 45.
Under 45.
So not like students, super young, like not
Oh,
kids.
not really students.
So no, not really
really.
students. We have students.
Some
We have
students.
many students. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
definitely. But it's like under 45. So it's
45,
like
like
people who
30s.
just use 30, 35, 40. Yeah, people who use iPhones. Yeah, we just have. It's really interesting. But like one client just called us. Well, texted us through the app. And and then she was all ready to go, and she was ready to pay because our concept is new for people, right? And even like clients like, oh, I'm not sure how it works. Like, tell me, explain to me. And this lady was just ready to go, and she was older. She was like really old, like she was in her very late 40s, almost like 50s. And so when I asked her, and she just told me, well, I use an app to talk with my doctor that way. So she did some kind of a dog zoc or something, right? So and then I was like, it was like a counter. It was intuitive for her. Go to the app store and just find a word that way.
Similar.
And exactly what she told me. I travel a lot. Like I stay in one country like for 6 months because I have like work for an international company, and then so I just travel. I stay there for like 6 months, and then I'm in the U.S. So I really move a lot around. So I don't have like a cell phone or like the roaming always with me.
I see.
But I always have my phone connected to the internet. So and then it clicked with me. Once we pushed our service further, we will like capture more and more age groups as people like that, and then other industries when they move online, it helps us too because we got that lady only because there was a doctor's app like ours that she used and she liked it and everything worked. The payment system, the conversations, the tracking of all her records or whatever she had.
I can see a lot more like services, not just like lawyers and doctors, but like moving online, like maybe like tax professionals, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I would say that. Maybe 90% of our clients we never even see. We just don't see them. We don't even see them on the video call. We
it's just all
because
all texting.
It's all text. This is a good point. We rarely talk with them. So we just do texting, and then we don't send emails because that's what our platform is about, right? We don't send emails. We don't do actual phone calls. It's only through the app, and with the audio messages, we have this capability, and then so they just send us audio messages. They send us messages through the app texting, and that's it. And then it just all works with e-signature. We send them documents and they sign it. They send us back. We file it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. So like, what's the business model? Because I know you said like customers don't have to pay at first, or like.
Well, they don't have to pay for actually downloading the app. So the app is free, but the services are not free. It's like with Uber. You download Uber for free. But when you actually need a service, a ride, then you pay. So the same.
So you don't have to pay until it's like you're sure that you need it, and like until you've like already talked to like a paralegal or just someone.
So we just have the chat when these people ask questions in the legal help. One of the paralegals determines the need, and then if there is something that we can do for them, or like they just look for services, then we just ask for paid consultation actually. So this is one of the things that we're trying to get now generally in the world, and especially in the US, when you want to talk to a lawyer, you have to pay for a 1-hour consultation.
So it's like lawyers on the platform, they charge like an hourly rate. And people who come on, they just.
And we are working on the capability to bring it just like what Uber did with taxis, where we just can do 30-minute consultation, 15-minute consultation, 7-minute consultation if you have a short question.
And you can like see how much it's going to cost, like already beforehand.
Right. Yeah. Or just you trust the platform and you will be charged by a minute. So and then this is like again, it's making it legal services more accessible because let's say you have some kind of a very like a like a short, easy question. I mean, easy from your perspective. You think it's just not that big of a deal, and you don't want to spend like $450 to go to a lawyer, even on the phone, because it's just not worth it. Because you know it's like $1,000 question or something, right? So then that's what we want to make legal services more accessible. So if there is a short, like a small question, then you can just download the app and like have a 30-minute consultation or less, and then just get your answer. So this is how we make money on all types of questions, consultations. So
you take a cut, basically, like a small percentage from like.
So now we are doing it in-house. We can do that. So for like many cases we file for immigration, we do in-house. So we capture all the process. And then if it's in California, if it's like in different states, if people want it, then we take a cut.
I see.
So people then we charge for consultations, and then when people ask us for actual legal services, or if someone needs to go to like, okay, I need you to go to court with me, or so this is how we make money. So people pay for legal services.
Cool. So like y'all have like all the margins figured out, and it's like it's profitable.
Definitely. It is. And then the more we scale.
Do you have any other like, I guess, ideas on like, I don't know, I know it's like a lot of, I mean, when I think apps, it's like a lot of apps run ads on their apps to like make more money. Like, is that something that you thought of, I guess?
Yeah, so there's something which is like a case tracking tool for cases that you filed with the government. So and then we're working on having this tab in our app where you can track your case and then have like a little ad there. So just in one tab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because people just when you have the app like every couple of weeks, you just want to pick in, even though you don't get a push notification that your status changed, but people are anxious. Well, let me change my status, and then they see the ads.
Okay, cool. So I mean, the reason I asked about like your age group, your demographic earlier, is because I mean, I know y'all been creating a lot of content, right? Like that's one of your main ways of getting your name out to people in the world. And it's very important to know like who your audience is, so that you create the right type of content. So like tell me about y'all's like content strategy, I guess. Like I know y'all been posting on YouTube and Instagram. Like what's the approach there?
Just to make it interesting. So one of the reasons perhaps you're not interested in law, like because it's boring, right? It's boring. It's like it's legal.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I think of like law, it's like, oh, it's super complicated. I don't know anything about it, and like if I were to have to figure things out by myself, it's like I don't know where to start. Like, and obviously I think expensive as well, right? So in my mind, it's just like, oh, it's annoying, and I don't want to deal with it, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. These are perfect problems that it's actually in our deck too. So it's complicated, it's expensive, and you don't know where people who are users, they don't know where to start. So and then we have it all structured and figured out, when we just say, well, it's easier, it's quick. You just download the app and ask a question, and then the cost is lower. But in terms of content, so we just get it. We want to make it interesting.
Break it down, like make it simple for people. Right?
Although it is really hard, because everything that you said is very true. So it is complex. It's annoying. It's like it's boring and it's not interesting. But we just want to make it a little, just break it down with little videos and sound effects and like bring it down for as much as possible, so someone without any training or experience can understand that this can be done, but at the same time like kind of keep being engaged and like learning something new. So educational, engaging, something interesting. Like in one of we would just trying different concepts, throwing food in, or just if it's an entertainment client, like we just do like studios and guitars, and like, because we work for everyone. We work for restaurants, we work for IT companies that like sit in offices, and we work for entertainment companies like that bring foreign artists to the US with concerts and motivational speakers, sport athletes.
Like I looked at your Instagram page. Go check out their Instagram, by the way. I'll like link everything down below. But like y'all's aesthetic, like it's really nice and clean, like the white and the blue, and like I don't know, like y'all's graphic designer popped off. But yeah, I mean, like, you have the infographics are like really useful, right? Because it's like, oh, you know, you show, like, you have this like giant like bank of information, and so what you do is like you take a bit at a time, and then you like you give it to the people like bit by bit at a time, so it's like they're not like overwhelmed, like at the same all at once, right?
At the same time, you see a lot of when in terms of content, a lot of lawyers and law firms, they really like put out like some kind of a do-it-yourself kits almost, you know, where they just give so much information that people study that and try to do it themselves, which is fine. I always say to my colleagues and to clients, if you can do it yourself, go ahead and do it. I don't want to take money, you know, that you would rather save, but everything that we do, we have a job, and then we are lawyers, and we had to, you know, study and like do that.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's your job is to like organize the information nicely.
Right. Yeah. So it's really become and give you the answer, give you a solution to a problem. So I'm just saying that we don't want to give like too much, so people can start like doing stuff themselves and then ended up hurting really their case, because it's very common. They think, okay, I'll just, especially now there's so much information out there, okay, I'll look over, you know, 5-10 YouTube videos and I'll become an expert, you know. So then it's like I think it's bad, and then very often, because we get so much cases like that, like really? Through the app, when they just say, hey, I filed it myself.
And something like
something happened. No. Can you figure it out? It's like, oh, what did you do? Well, I didn't even save a copy. You know, like simple stuff like that. It's like I didn't scan what I filed to my case that I filed to the government. You know, it's like, and then I'm getting hit by this request for more evidence, and then what's going on? And
it's like, I don't have the evidence.
Yeah, and then I ended up saying, look, I just, to untangle everything, you know, you end up paying more than paying like from start from scratch and do it everything right from the beginning.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I'm saying, like, it's just I want to give. I would, if I teach like at like schools sometimes, you know, I tell students like how to different things about the law, but it takes time. You know, you have to have at least a semester worth of studying about something. That's why I'm just, in terms of content, I don't want to like really drill into like really complicated stuff on how to file a certain visa or just how to file certain paperwork, but just to give a little bit, just to say this is how it's done. This is where you can find information.
Yeah, you gotta find the familiar ground where, like, you know, people like, you gotta find a platform. Are you guys on TikTok, by the way?
We just have a little bit. Yeah. Like we have some. We ask people to give like video reviews of the app, so, and then we post them, and then if we have a new feature, just the actual screen, like on our Instagram, so that there is the actual screen of the app, like the screenshot. It's like a video screen, right? And then, we post things there, like on TikTok, but very little. We just
You guys should do something where you like in the app here, you're like, oh, if you make a video of yourself reviewing our app, we'll give you like a small discount or something. That would like incentivize people to do it. I don't know. But I remember like when I talked to Milena yesterday, and she said like you guys have been working with bloggers in the past.
Yeah.
And like you guys are looking more for like YouTuber, like help with like YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
So like I assume, like, have you guys been like publishing like articles and stuff on your website that like explains how to like do certain stuff?
Yeah, definitely. We publish
like,
a lot.
You write like blogs, articles.
The problem is just not very many people read that. So we just have an issue like with distribution more.
I see. Yeah. I mean, like, that's a really good thing to do, like, because, you know, it's like it's helping you build your credibility, right? So people come to you and it's like, oh, they already had this information, whether it's like on their blog or on their social media, that like was useful for me. So, you know, because of that, I'll trust them to like go on the app.
Yeah, and then that's what I was always thinking, that then when generally users spend like, you know, 3-4 seconds, almost nobody, except for the IT people like engineers or biotech folks, most people don't spend more than 3-4 seconds to make it the decision on whether this this company
Whether
or
I'm
this
gonna-
app is
yeah.
good or not. So
Uh-huh.
they just quickly browse. Okay, the reviews are there. Okay, yeah, fine. Then if it's a YouTube page, they just see generally like the page. Okay, it's good. And then the
Yeah.
website is
With
the same
YouTube,
thing.
with YouTube, it's like it's the thumbnail and the title.
Yeah.
Like that's what they see. So,
So-
like, yeah.
In with our videos too, like people don't really watch the whole video.
Mm-hmm.
They just okay, these guys know what they're talking about, so I can trust this platform, and that's
Mhm.
it. So it's really like this balance on like when to not to give too much content because most people wouldn't really read that,
Yeah.
but when they see that it's just a lot is written and
Uh-huh.
there's just there's some traction on it, then they
Uh-huh.
just trust more. Yeah.
I see. Is there anything like that you've learned about, I guess, like content creation so far through the stuff that you've made already?
Yeah, I guess like many things.
Strategy.
For me, it's just it must not be complicated or like legalese, as they say. Like the language should be super simple,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to do because I'm
Uh-huh.
used to like very structured, long sentences.
Yeah.
Thereupon, hereby,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
therefore,
Uh-huh.
notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I always need to like bring myself down. And we have a narrative architect, as we call our guy.
Oh
And then
yeah.
he just goes and simplifies everything and it makes
Oh.
it sound very simple what
Uh-huh.
I write or like the captions and
Uh-huh.
descriptions.
Yeah. You got to put things like in a format that's familiar with people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you guys made like, I don't know, like some kind of like trend video, I don't know, and like I feel like it probably gets some traction, right? 'Cause people are like, oh, like people get like the thing that attracts people is not like the content a lot of the time. It's like the other things, it's like how you're saying things, like the tone. Like it's really like small things that really draw people's attention, I feel like. So yeah, okay. So like I mean, y'all are like pivoting more towards like YouTube now? Or is it just like
No, not really. Just always what we have like on the back burner, but
Mhm.
not we have it actively. Yeah, just when the opportunity allows, when we have interesting conversation, interesting client. Because you see, we are lawyers, right? And
Mhm.
we have this attorney-client privileged communication. So whoever is our client is or like uses the app, even like it's a privileged, not secret information, but like it's shoot. It's just it's not to be disclosed. It's private.
I see.
So, and then that's why like if I want to interview like our client and then
Uh-huh.
just ask the questions, I need to get the client's permission to make sure
Yeah.
he's on board. So some
Okay.
people don't want to do that. Like if we have a big company or
Yeah.
someone, they would think that we use their name and to promote ourselves. So yeah, but
Interesting.
that's why when we have a chance, when someone just says, okay, yeah, I want to do it, just talk about my case or whatever,
Yeah.
then we do it.
Okay, cool. Alright, so what's been like the biggest like obstacle that you've run into, I think?
Definitely,
Really?
yeah, like distribution and
Distribution.
yeah, that's a lot of people would like really reaching
Hardest part,
reaching
just
to
reaching
people.
people.
Yeah, because you see, like operationally,
Uh-huh.
our business is figured out, so
Mhm.
everything works. The app works, the messages come in, notifications are there,
Mhm.
everything is fine. People figure out where to write. We try to make the design very simple
Yeah,
and
yeah.
intuitive. You just
Uh-huh.
okay, this is where you write, this is where you
I see.
ask. So, but then it's just all about like turning the volume button up, and scaling. That's the
Marketing.
hardest part. Yeah,
Yeah.
marketing. Yeah, like because like we have an infrastructure to handle, let's say. Like 20 clients a day, for example, right?
Mhm.
We can do that, but then because our app supports that, our servers can process 10,000 inquiries a minute, right? But we
don't have
wish
that.
we would have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we set up the
Uh-huh.
very strong foundation,
Mhm.
the code, the system, the
Wow.
server, the processing, the bandwidth.
Yeah.
But then now we're hoping to build
So everything's up
everything
there. It's just you gotta get the number of customers like
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
the most difficult problem because
Uh-huh.
we want to be in the search. So yeah, and then we have competition from traditional sources,
Mhm.
like actual law firms
Yeah.
that just take calls and word of mouth.
Actually, is there like do you guys have competition? Like, are there any other apps that are doing similar things?
So no, we don't have competition
Oh, wow.
among the apps.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
there is none. But
No,
The status quo is our competition.
Wow.
The main competition is like the actual
Okay.
old school traditional law firms.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there are some other like techie online law firms, but they just have the website and then just do services online. So they are our
It's
competition.
kind of competition, but it's like they're not connecting people like instantly through chat. Like
Exactly. Yeah. We have it on our deck that the response time with our system, nobody else can show that. Because they don't have the technology, even though it's easy. But then most people just have the email or the phone to call, and then they wouldn't respond to you. It's if it's weekend or evening, they would respond the next day or the day after. You can't set up a consultation real quick.
I
So
see.
we're the only one. Yeah.
So I mean, right now, besides posting content like social media, all that stuff, like what else are y'all doing to like grow and like get people?
So search engine optimization.
search engine.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
big. Yeah. App Store
App Store.
optimization.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as I mentioned.
Yeah, y'all going to like a lot of networking events and stuff in the area too. Trying to like,
So not a lot, Just if when we go, we just want to learn something like in terms of design, coding, business, right, or like pricing or anything. So just to learn stuff, but not for actual networking. So we go like. As I mentioned, we go to universities and schools
Oh yeah.
and give a class on business and on immigration. We get a lot of clients that way, actually,
Wow.
because then we go to international like schools
Uh-huh.
where a bunch of foreign students
Uh-huh.
study, and then we have relationships with many like universities like. It's called International Student Office.
Uh-huh.
Those that are in charge of all the international students.
Yeah.
So and then when the students have problems, then this is the first person they reach to, and then they just say, "Oh, this is this app. These guys, I know them. So download the app and ask them."
Wow. That's really smart. Going to
So
like.
we-
Have
yeah,
y'all been
nobody-
to like schools around here too?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
sure. We go and then they
Colleges.
call me up. Then they want me to come more often because
Uh-huh.
they just say it's up in San Francisco too. It's just, hey, come and tell us your story, tell what you're doing, and tell us about immigration, what's going on. It's like, yeah, sure. So and then if it's a large class, I go, and then I get calls like for the next 2-3 years. Just someone's like, hey, I was in your class whatever a year ago, and then or my buddy or my mom or my whatever. Yeah, so people remember that because I get it like an hour to spend with the group and answer questions. So yeah, people
Wow.
like it.
That's really good.
So
Yeah.
things like that.
That's a really good point. It's like you have to put yourself in an environment where your audience is, right? And then you got to engage with that audience. And if you can do that in a one-on-one, like, you're literally like next to them in person, like engaging with them, like that's like the most effective way, I feel like. So yeah, all right. So I think that's like a good point to like, that's like a good point to like end our podcast so far. But we do have another segment going on today where Mikhail, he's gonna tell us a little bit about just like, how to about like kind of like the crossroads between like startups and like immigration laws, because I mean that's what you're an expert in.
Yeah, definitely. So like
yeah.
as you know, in this area, there are so many startups that were founded, by folks from different countries, right? And then just I don't want to go into like the actual names, but there are many, right? It's Google definitely, Stripe and a bunch of other companies. And then it's just in terms of the founders. In startups, every startup probably. I don't know if every single one, but the overwhelming majority hire like international programmers, and then people like US.
A lot of overseas employees, contractors, whatever.
And then there are a bunch of smart people around the world who want to come here to try to grow the business or start the business or get funding from here. So and then now there is a special startup visa. It's called entrepreneurship, like parole.
Oh, really? This is like a specific visa for entrepreneurs, like people who are trying to start businesses.
But then
Oh,
tech
in
startups.
tech. Okay.
Yeah, just startups.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of visas. There are definitely special visas for businessmen. Yeah,
Okay.
and then for investors.
Uh-huh.
But then for tech, there is a new one for the tech. It just became like available last year. So yeah, and then if you got like funded by some, or you got accepted into like a combinator like YC or something, then you can file for the visa, and enter and work and for that startup and be here in the U.S. So yeah, it's just there is a special one available. There are requirements for that. Like as I said, if you have if you got funded or some kind of a letter that you're about to get funded, you just need to be.
Mm-hmm. Is it like a better? Is it like a better visa compared to like the other ones, like the student ones?
Yes and no. There are always pros and cons. Yeah, but it's just one of the ways. Yeah, just to get that one, because you see the requirement is pretty. The standard is high because it's hard to get into a good
a good startup, good company,
or like a hub, this startup combinator, and it's hard to get funded too.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you're like someone from whatever, like from Europe somewhere, or in India, and you have a good startup that makes money, but you didn't get funded by a big company, by a big VC, and you're not in the in any of the like combinators, whatever accelerators, you wouldn't get that visa. So you have to really be like somewhat famous already to get that visa. That's why it's a bad one, because it's hard to get.
Yeah. So there are there like a lot of I guess like businesses, startups that are overseas that are like trying to come to the US. Definitely, that like get rejected a lot.
That get rejected. So most people just get a tourist visa. Just to enter here, and then when they're here, then they figure out other options.
Okay.
So you can always get a tourist visa, and then you technically on a tourist visa you cannot work, and then you cannot get paid by a U.S. source.
Oh, really? So how what do they have to do then? When they come on a tourist visa? Yeah,
at first they just get their LLC gets paid, and then the LLC or like the LLC.
Have a stake in LLC.
Yeah, the company just pays for everything, so they circumvent the regulation that way. But most people just don't care and never get caught.
Okay.
Yeah, they just I'm just get a paycheck, and then after a while, 6 months later, then they just figure out they find a guy. Like they find a lawyer or download our app and just ask questions. Okay, what do we do next? And then we figure out a solution for them how to get a different visa, a long-term one, so they can stay here. And then having a visa is also good for like investors, because then you just investors say, okay, what is your team? Team is very important, right? Investors, and then when they learn that you don't, then you have like some of the core team members or founders have a tourist visa and can get kicked out at any moment, right? It's a big risk point, because how are you gonna work? Yeah. So that's why you just want to figure out the visa situation. So you have a 3-year, like a long-term visa, so you can just work and not without any stress, and just keep focus on the.
I see. Okay. So how do you I guess, is there any like legal barriers for if you're like coming from overseas and you want to like set up a startup here in the US?
Yeah, definitely. There are many legal barriers, because you see that it's all about like illegal employment and protecting the U.S. workers. That's why the legal barriers are there. So the U.S. legal system wants the U.S. workers to get a job and work and have a privilege over like foreign workers, right? And then so when a tourist comes in, or someone without on a different type of like a students and tourists are not allowed to work in the U.S. So thus then they cannot set up companies. So it's not allowed. So this is one legal barrier, and then we have students asking like, okay, I have a bunch of money from my parents, because most foreign students that come here, their parents have money. Yeah. Right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. Yeah. So there's like, okay, I have a bunch of money for my startup from my parents, but how can I set it up? And then we find options for them. Okay, like we do this and that. We don't do this startup visa, because again, the requirement is very high. Yeah, because you have to be like funded and VCs and all that, and you have to have an actual business going on already. So yeah, we just find the different like investors. There are E2 visas, there are like L1 visas. They're called that way. Just setting up new companies and then transferring their status from an F1 visa, student visa, to a work visa, investor visa, or businessman visa. So yeah.
How long does that whole process usually take?
So yeah, it just it depends. It takes 3-4 months.
3-4 months.
Yeah, sometimes 6 months, sometimes longer. But the good thing is about that is that when we file that change of status, then they are legal in the country, and then they can just stay here as long as they don't have to leave. And then we just, in other words, they wait for a decision while being here.
Okay.
And keep working. Yeah.
I see. Have you ever worked with someone who was like, who like they were like about to get deported or something?
Oh yeah, sure. In my case, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
In my case, meaning like with the type of work. Yeah. Look,
like are those people? Are they like just like really really desperate?
Yeah, sure. I'm a little desensitized, with that because I get inquiries like that all the time. But with Skylex, we just had someone just send us a message like, "Hey guys, I just jumped over like the wall,
Wait, actually?
And I just got apprehended. So what do I do?"
Wait, no way.
Yes, just right. And then they say, "I don't have a cell phone service, right? I can't call anyone." And then
you hop to like the U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah. It happens all the time, man. And it says just CBP officers gave me a list of lawyers with some companies, but I don't trust them. I don't want to call them. Can you tell me what to do? And it's like,
damn. Yeah, you gotta be neutral.
Yeah. We had folks just call us, and if they come, they have actual bracelets, like right on their feet, on one of their like legs, but then they cannot leave. Then they have a court hearing schedule.
So it's like they were assigned to you by like a judge.
No, they're not assigned. We're like a commercial private business lawyers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they
that's
call
separate
us
from like the other ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, all kinds of issues like that. Yeah, people are desperate, want to do something, and a lot of time, like their relatives are really upset and anxious and just trying to do something. Yeah, so that happens all the time. Yeah, we have a bunch of stories like that.
Dan, I mean, tell me another story. Like, do you like what's like the craziest story that like comes to mind when you think? Like...
Well, with business, there are not as many crazy stories because look, our business clients are not crazy because they're focused.
Yeah,
they're startuppers, or they're like very motivated, and they have rich parents,
so
or
they're not
partners.
like running from the cops or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
they don't get in trouble. They're just smart, studying, good schools. They're doing well. So I don't have any crazy stories like with businessmen most of the time. Sometimes that happens though. But with marriage-related family issues, so it happens all the time. We have someone text us through the app. It's like, "Hey, I just found this. I want to marry the girl from whatever country, or this is my husband. Husband is a U.S. citizen, and then we process that paperwork." And then we just say, "Okay, with my paralegal and I, okay, like, you think, like we place bets on whether they're gonna stay together or not."
Oh, really?
Yeah, basically because you get a green card for 2 years first, marriage-based. It's called marriage-based green card.
Okay.
So yeah, you just get a green card for 2 years, and after 2 years you need to file another paper to get a permanent green card. So I know they're gonna come back in 2 years. If they want us to, if
because you help them get the marriage green card.
We get the green card for 2 years, and after 2 years,
you tell them, like,
they need to file an extension. I mean, a permanent green card. So in other words, they have to be married for at least 2 years to file that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like at one time. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, whether they come back depends on like whether they're still together.
But they have to come back. They always come back, and we always get paid for that. Because the question is whether they will come back separately or together. Yeah.
Because either way, like they want to be in the U.S.
Exactly. Yeah. So they come back either way. Yeah.
Oh.
That's why our business model works. Okay, because they come back either way.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then let's say I'm just like, we're just internally, okay, so what are the bets that they're gonna be, back together? And then I just say, okay, there's no way, because again, like age demographics, like religion, income that matters. Because if you see both are just graduated from the same school, they met in school, they both professionals work, and then there's like, okay, in a similar culture, you know, maybe the guy's parents grew up in the same country, you know, like or whatever. This is always 100%. It's like, okay, they're gonna stay together for at least 2 years, so they come back. But often it's just we start, and it's like, okay, and you see that something is not wrong with the couple, but you know, you can see some inconsistencies, and that can be an issue down the road. And I'm not a family lawyer, right? I'm an immigration lawyer, but it's just for fun. And just like, okay, like, and then a year later, we start getting texts, you know, through Skylex. It's like, oh,
they left.
Yeah, or some crazy stories like, hey, this guy, you know, I hate him. He did this and that, you know. He just his mom. Or whatever, and it's like, how do I stay now? How do I stay?
I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm not a family lawyer.
Yeah,
you gotta find someone else for that.
Yeah, but they ask me immigration questions like, how do I, or through the app they just text like, what do? I want to stay here, and then we try to figure out different options. But most of the time, I just say that just you have this 2-year mark, you know, make it work. You kind of like as a counselor, you know, or as like a priest. You know, I just say, you know, just make it work, because it's look, rarely, again, with our clientele, with the people who pay us, almost never it's like violence or any no crazy issues like that. It's just okay, we're just fighting. There's just
I mean, I can see that. Like, I bet there's a lot of people like who like they would do anything to come to the US, including like, just be with someone.
Another thing is, sometimes there's just people come by and just say, well, you know, we're not together. It's just basically a fraudulent marriage. We just want to do that. And then we just say, well, sorry, you know, it's not worth our time. We don't want to do that. Yeah, just go see somebody else. Because it's harder. So in terms of business, like, you know, we work for a lot of companies that bring foreign artists into the US, right, for concerts. There's a special visa for that. It's called P visas, and then there's a P1 visa, P2, P3, different categories for different artists. Depends on how famous they are, how culturally unique performance is. So and then let's say.
So you're saying like the government will like look at like what they've accomplished and be like, you've accomplished more, so I'm gonna give you a visa that like is lets you stay longer.
Well, by and large, yes, something like that. Or I will give you a special type of. Let's say there is a special like cultural dance group that is you know, coming from Ethiopia. American dancers are great, right? Yeah. But they cannot do the Ethiopian dance. Yeah. And they don't have the costumes. So, and then there's a bunch of people here, like let's say from Ethiopia, and a bunch of Americans who want to see the Ethiopian dance, right? And you would pay $10, $20 for a ticket, right? To see that. So the people make money. It's artist management companies. It's big. It's entertainment business.
The government will see that and be like,
so
we should let them stay. Yeah.
And then they, well, not stay, but visit and work. So it's a work visa. So and then they're not particularly famous. Like, you know, Justin Bieber has an O1 visa. Too, because he's a Canadian. So this is all like, this is in our wheelhouse to file visas like that, you know, all one. But folks like him are super famous, or like Weekend, you know.
Oh yeah, that guy's Canadian too.
Yeah. So when we file visas for like sometimes very famous folks as a P1 or O1, but others are just culturally unique.
I see.
So then they're not very famous, but they do something. They're professional entertainers, right? So we file visas for them. And then our client comes and see us and is like, okay, we have like this group, and then there's 10 of them, you know, and then they're going to perform in the US for like, you know, whatever, 2 months, you know, they will go from this location to this location, like a tour across the US. So, and then they put it together, and then we file it. And then 3 months later, you know, our client just says, hey, they all ran away. They didn't go back. I was like, I was like, dude, what? It's like, they just didn't go back. They're like, do you know where they are? Like, aren't you supposed to, you know, provide housing for them and everything? It's like, I paid for their hotel, whatever, everything went great. The tour was great. I made a lot of money, so I'll bring more. You know, I'll come back to you again. But they ran away, and I don't know where they are. I don't know what to do.
Because like they don't like because like their thing expired and it's like
the thing expired and they didn't go back to their home country and they just stayed, and then it's like, what do I do? Can I just go grab them? It's like, well, and then I'm stuck here because I'm just saying, okay, can you do something? Can you go like find them? Can you take their passports? I was like, no, because this is actually a criminal like a offense by me or by him if he takes their passports away or like confines them to a certain place. This is like it's
so that's just a sticky situation, right?
False imprisonment or whatever. It's like there's no way we can't like force them to stay at a certain place if they chose to violate the US law and go not to go back and stay here illegally or whatever, file for asylum. There's nothing we can do. And then what happens next? Then we file for another petition for the same guy, like, because entertainers, the artist management, they just have nightclubs or they have like restaurants or some kind of venues where they just have concerts, right? So they always bring different artists. And then we have visas rejected because they say, look, if you file these folks next time, they didn't come back, and we're like, what are we gonna do? We don't trust you anymore. But I mean, and then he's like, he told me, I was like, what can I do? They're not making that much money, let's say in Ethiopia or in a different country. But here they get paid well. They're dancers and they can do different dances. They can perform. So this is like a situation like that where there's nothing can be done.
That's crazy. Wow.
So another thing is like that when something goes wrong, we're the first to blame.
Oh yeah. Like who? Like the
lawyer is you blame the lawyer and then you blame the platform. That connects you with the lawyer. So that's another thing that why our spaces...
Sometimes your clients will be like, oh, it was their fault. Like,
of course, If they get denied because of the wrong documents, because of some fraud, because we don't know. Let's say it's a business and let's say they want to start a business and we submit a business plan and we just say, okay, I'm planning to grow my startup. Within the next 12 months, I'm going to hire 3 more people. And then it's a business requirement. It's a requirement for the L1A visa. So I have to hire a certain amount of people within 12 months based on the business plan. And then they don't hire that amount because the business went down. And then they come back to me, 6 months later. It's like, hey, everything is not good. We can't. It's like, I just say, okay, that's it. You have to leave, because it's
it's your problem that your business is not good.
They just say, no, you figure it out. I have a different business, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna go to school, or I'm gonna do whatever. I was like, no, man, unless you get married to your citizen, that's the only solution. But and then okay, you find me someone to marry them. It's like no, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
So like have people like that have they tried to come after you, sue you or anything?
Well, no, it's just thankfully we have discussions and it's never happened to me, because I do my job and I file everything. They do get visas for a year or whatever, or for 3 years, and then so it hasn't been like that. But then they just feel that somehow a lawyer is at fault. But again, it's like less than 1% of the cases. Most of the time,
they're just talking bad about you and trying to.
Not really that. They just upset, the visa didn't go through or whatever, or an extension didn't go through.
You just gotta deal with it. You just gotta tell them I can't do
anything.
And
then where I just say, well, often we just come up with different solutions. It's like, okay, let's think about it. Let's do what we can fix. But just to let you know, it's your business. I'm not running your business if something went wrong. I'm a lawyer, and then so we just talk through Skylex, and then we don't get same thing with the relationships, right? Thankfully, when the marriages go sour, I just they don't blame lawyers for that.
Interesting. Are there so? Are there ever lawyers out there who it was actually the lawyer's fault that
Sure, but that's why malpractice, legal malpractice, malpractice
is that
insurance
common,
exists.
I guess, where
it's just same thing.
practice?
It's just same thing with car accidents. So when you get into an Uber car. Sometimes there's something happens.
Yeah.
Like it's never happened to me. Never happened to you.
Yeah.
But you know that things like that happen. But there are accidents when you're in the cab. So yeah, just it happens. Sometimes like it's not really common for immigration, but for like criminal cases, some others where it's just a lawyer just forgot something. Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
So you just gotta like build that trust, between you.
Yeah, and specialty, and then again, that's why a lot of people then come to Skylex, and then they just say, okay, I just want a lawyer that specializes in this certain area, because before if I hired the lawyer, he told me he knew that, but there was no that intermediary third party who could confirm the lawyer's expertise and the lawyer's competence in this case. And this is what our business is, because we know with the absolute certainty, with 100%, that this lawyer knows this particular area of immigration.
I see.
Yeah, because we by hand interview them, and then we know what they're doing. So we cannot guarantee that the lawyer is not going to make a mistake, right? Because it's human, anybody can make a mistake. But what we can guarantee that this is going to be a lawyer, a licensed lawyer. He's going to be available to take your case, and that lawyer, he or she has the expertise in that particular domain.
Like they've gone through like your inspection, and you're an expert. So like, Awesome, man. Well, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Thank you, Mikhail, so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you, Andrew. It was really good.
It was cool meeting you. Fun story. I met Mikhail and Milena, who's behind the camera. I met them yesterday at a networking event, like literally down the street, at a cafe, at a networking event. Not gonna lie, the networking event, it was like I don't know if you feel, it was like it felt kind of weird. Like we were just like sitting at a table, and like they were just like kind of interrogating us. They're like, like what are you doing? Like what is the problem? Like it was kind of weird, but yeah, the people that you meet at networking events are like, you never know who you're gonna meet. So that'll be all for today. Thank you guys so much if you made it this far for tuning in. Make sure to check out Skylex app in the description. You know that SEO needs your help. So
please
go give them a 5-star review on the App Store.
Give us 5 stars. Any questions? You get any discount? At least $100 on the legal fee. And please download the app. And also, if you have any, I love your audience, because you may have some feedback, on the design, on the process, on different features. In the legal help, just send a message there. We will consider any request, or not a request, but like a suggestion, recommendation.
Like send them some feedback, like they'll get back to you.
And a review too, please.
Yes, sir. All right, but that'll be all. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.
It was really cool.